Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam review class. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri
श्रीरूपां सा
Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam overview. We are discussing from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are discussing the most beautiful section of Uddhava Gita. So we discussed how Uddhava, expecting the departure of Krishna, he went to Krishna and he requested that please you also take me with you. I cannot stay with you in this material world. So Krishna, he said, I have performed all my pastimes, all my mission is over, but there is one thing which is still incomplete. I have not given association to the sages of Badrika Ashram. So you please go and you give this message of mine to all these sages. That's how they'll get my association. Uddhava, he asks how one can stay in this world without getting affected. So in response to that question, that was the first question asked by Uddhava. There are 20 questions which come in this Uddhava Gita. And one first question Uddhava asks is how one can be in this world without getting attached. So Krishna, he tells Uddhava to follow the process of renunciation, and he gives few of the instructions. After hearing those instructions, Uddhava, he tells Krishna that the knowledge which you have given me, it is very difficult to follow. Please explain how can I follow this jnana in my life. So with that question, Krishna, he started quoting a conversation which happened between great king Yadu and a Avadhut Brahmana. So actually this Avadhut Brahmana is Lord Dattatreya himself. So Yadu, he met this Avadhut Brahmana and he asked that, I am seeing that although you are very learned, intelligent, handsome, young, but still you are, not doing anything to take care of your body. You're not doing anything to prove yourself in this world. How are you maintaining this consciousness? So this Avadhut Brahmana, he told that, I have 24 gurus in my life and I have learned so many things from them. So last time we discussed the 7 gurus of this Avadhut Brahmana. We discussed that this Avadhut Brahmana, he said, one of my guru is earth. I have learned tolerance from earth. From tree and mountains, I have learned selflessness. From wind, I have learned satisfaction and detachment. From sky, I have learned that how Paramatma, he is there in everybody, but still he is not affected by the movements of the living entity, just like sky is not affected by the movements of the air. I have learned from water that a saintly person is always pure, unaffected, and purifies everybody. And then he said, I have learned from moon that how one should be above bodily conception of life. The moon passes from waxing and waning various phases, but moon is unaffected. Similarly, the soul passes from body in different phases, but the soul is unaffected. And then again, he told one more quality about fire. The fire has different flames. Similarly, the soul passes through various bodily phases. You can perceive the soul by that. And by sun, he learned how to never become entangled. And of course, the last was the pigeon. How one should not become excessively attached to anybody because the result will be fall down. So now we'll be discussing the eighth chapter. It is entitled The Story of Pingala. So in this Avadhut Brahmana, he describes his ninth guru as the python. So he says, conditioned souls, they inevitably, they are, you know, they achieve their destined happiness and distress. Everybody in this world, they will get happiness, they will get distress, even if they do not work for it. Therefore, intelligent person should not endeavor for happiness in this world. Prahlad Maharaj also told his friends, Sukhamaindriyakam daitya dehinam dehiyoginam sarvatra labhyate daivad yatha dukkham mayatnatah. Oh my friends, please do not endeavor for happiness in this world. Tat prayaso na kartavyo, because the happiness is available in all the species of life. So therefore, this Avadhut Brahmana, he says that a conditioned soul, they hanker so much for the happiness and they waste their life. But actually the life should not be wasted in the pursuit of sense gratification, as first canto describes how one should live his life, why one should endeavor. One should endeavor for that which is not available in all the 14 planetary systems. Tasyaiva heto prayatet kovido na labhyate yad bhramatam uparyadah tallabhyate dukkhavadanyata sukham kalena sarvatra gabhira ramhasa. Therefore, one should endeavor for that which is not available in the 14 planetary systems. So Chakravarti Thakur writes there that one should not over endeavor to enjoy, over endeavor to maintain material body. And Rupa Goswami also describes in Upadeshamrit, one of the 6 things which are detrimental for a devotee is prayas. Over endeavor to maintain and acquire things. There are various types of prayas. Karma prayas, Jnana prayas, Yoga prayas. But one of the very, very dangerous type of prayas is Pratishtha prayas. People in this world, they do so many things to get recognition, get fame, name and fame. That is very, very dangerous for a devotee. So therefore this Avadhut Brahmana says, one should take food as python does. If something comes, the python, he does not work. Without much action, just takes whatever comes on its own. That's called Ajigara Vritti. He does not consider, oh, this is delicious food, this is not delicious, oh, this today I'm getting very small amount, this is ample for me, this is not ample for me. No. If the food comes, the python eats, otherwise he just fasts. Similarly, a saintly person, he says that one should behave like a python. If somebody gives him nice food, he should eat. Otherwise, he should fast, thinking that, oh, this is the will of the Lord. So therefore, he should remain patient and peaceful like a python. Therefore, he says in the 4th verse that saintly person should always remain peaceful and materially inactive. Materially inactive means he should not endeavor much for maintaining the bodily needs. Although a devotee or a saintly person possesses all the bodily strength, mental strength, sensual strength, but he should not utilize that strength for sense gratification. It should not be utilized for material gain. It should be utilized for spiritual gain. And then he says, my 10th guru is the ocean. Ocean, so the sage should be like ocean, which is grave internally and happy and pleasing externally. That should be the disposition of a devotee. Grave internally and happy and peaceful externally. So therefore, purport describes that the devotee should be like ocean, which is pleasing, unfathomable, very grave, unsurpassable, unlimited, and unshakable. As Bhagavad Gita also describes that a self-realized soul, a advanced devotee, he is like ocean. Apuryamanam achala pratishtham samudramapah pravishanti yadvat tadvad kamayam pravishanti sarve sashantimapnoti na kama kami. Even though many rivers are entering the ocean, ocean does not get disturbed, never overflows. A devotee is not disturbed in any situation of life. Whatever problems may come, physical problems, health problems, some mental pains, some insulting words, he is not disturbed in any condition. He is always grave. He is like an ocean, always peaceful and satisfied. In rainy season, so much of the water comes and is poured on the ocean. Ocean remains the same. In summer season, so much of the water is evaporated from the ocean. Ocean remains the same. Similarly, a devotee is not hankering and lamenting for things of this world. If he gets something, he does not become overjoyed. If he loses something, he does not become morose. ज्ञान विज्ञान तृप्तात्मा कूटस्थो विजितेन्द्रिय युक्त इत्युच्यते योगी समलोष्ट्र अश्म कांचना. The person, a devotee who is satisfied with devotional service, tripta atma, he is not disturbed by any problems of life. He sees things with equal vision. Sama loshtra ashma kanchana, pebbles, stone, and gold. He sees with equal vision. His 12th guru is moth. Okay, sorry. His 11th guru is moth. So he says, from the moth, he has learned something very interesting. Being illusioned by the form of a woman, a materialistic person is becomes like a moth. Enters moth being attracted by fire, enters the fire and burns himself and dies. A person who is so much obsessed with sense gratification, he loses all the discrimination. He tries to enjoy the opposite gender and gets destroyed like a moth. So Prabhupada writes about the power of the illusory energy in the form of opposite gender. One should be very careful not to try to enjoy the opposite gender. People who are foolish, who have material intelligence, they think if I enjoy this form, I'll be happy, but they are actually embracing death. Just like a foolish moth enters, rushes into a fire, gets burnt and destroys himself. Similarly, a materialistic person, he loses his power of discrimination and engages in sense gratification unlimitedly. He does not realize that death is approaching, and therefore very soon he achieves the lowest of their destinations. So therefore he says there are 5 senses and they have 5 sense objects. A person can become victimized by any of these 5, but the most powerful and the first thing which is victimized is the power of sight. The sense object form victimizes a person uh, first. Therefore one should be very careful. And then he says, I have a 12th guru, honeybee. He says, just like a saintly person, he is supposed to collect uh, from home little by little, from various houses he should collect. That is called madhukari vritti. Madhukari we have heard many times. Madhukari, like a honeybee, he should collect small things. He should not go to one person, a wealthy merchant, a wealthy householder every day and beg from that place. No, he should go beg from house door to door just to maintain his body, just to maintain the body and the soul together, just like a honeybee. But sometimes what happens? Honeybee, it becomes so very attracted by the fragrance of a lotus flower, goes and sits there, lingers there, then sits there, and the sun sets. The flower closes, and the honeybee dies inside the flower. A spiritualist, a saintly personality, a renunciant should not just go to one wealthy person every day and beg for his daily maintenance. You know what will happen? In due course of time, he'll be attracted by the family and the wealth and the property of that person. He will fall down from his from his renunciation. So therefore, um, uh, in the purport, it is written that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says, a renunciant, if he's just living, eating too much and not working to serve Krishna, he's like a honeybee going at one place and trying to enjoy. He says such a chubby bee will undoubtedly become entangled in the network of Maya. Chubby bee means very fat. So therefore, Saraswati Thakur, he would become very angry if he would see his brahmacharis becoming fat. Fat brahmacharis means you are doing sense gratification. He would become very angry. So Saraswati Thakur writes that no one should become overly attached to sense gratification, and one should not eat too much because it will give rise to uncontrollable lust. So the Jihua Vegam is very important to control. So then he says, just like a honeybee collects the essence from the flower, a saintly personality, while studying all the scriptures, he takes the essence. The essence is Vedesha Sarvair Aham Eva Vedyo. To know Krishna is the essence. Sarva Vedant Saramahi Srimad Bhagavata Vishyate Tadrasamrit Triptasya Nanyatrasya Adrati Kvachat. Sarva Vedanta Saram, the essence of all the scriptures is Srimad Bhagavatam. What is Srimad Bhagavatam? The glorification of Krishna. And then he says that the saintly person, he should never accumulate something to be eaten next day or for the next meal. He should use his belly as a storage container. He should not store anywhere else. Very high principles, very high ideals this Avadhut Brahmana is giving. He should use his belly as a storage container. He should not store more than required. Just like honeybee, you know, it collects only whatever is required. But sometimes it says a greedy honeybee collects more than whatever is required, and then what happens? He ultimately, becomes trapped in the beehive, because in due course of putting the honey in the beehive, the honeybee gets trapped there. And then he says, if you want to eat whatever fits in your hand. Karapatra. In the second canto also, Suta Goswami, the sages of Naimisharanya, they describe the same thing. And then he says, you should not think while collecting, oh, I'll eat this today, I'll eat that tomorrow. No. There are two types of honeybees. There is a Brahmar and there is a Makshika. Brahmar means those bees which collect honey from the flowers, and Makshika are the bees who work to transform that, the essence of the flower into honey. So Avadhut Brahmana is saying one should become like a Brahmara, collecting small things from the various houses, begging. Not like a Makshika, putting everything in the beehive, storing for tomorrow. No. So that is the understanding about honeybee. And then he says, I have learned something from the elephant also. A saintly person, he He says should never touch a body of a young girl, because even if it is a wooden doll, you know, because one should never trust the mind. So this concept comes many times, you know. In the ninth canto also we have discussed matra swastra dhuitrava navi viktasano bhavet balwan indriya gramam vidvamsam api chakarshati. One should not sit on the same level even with one's own mother, sister or daughter, because the mind can get disturbed anytime. Even a great learned person can also get disturbed. Balwan indriya gramam vidvamsam api chakarshati. Even great learned people can get bewildered and disturbed. So therefore, from elephant we should learn the dangers of attraction to touch, because what happens when a elephant has to be caught, a big hole is dug, it is covered with the straw, and a she elephant is put on the other side. So this elephant trying to enjoy, you know, the sense of touch, enjoy sex life with this she elephant, he runs towards that, does not realize there is a big hole, ditch. He falls in that and gets trapped. So therefore one should not allow one's mind to be lost in the lusty dreams. One should be very very focused. And he says, you know, as far as it is concerned about sex life enjoyed between man and women, there are various levels of sense gratification. Just hearing, thinking, contemplating, so all these are various types of sense gratifications which has to be avoided by a saintly person. So then he says one should never try to exploit the form of a woman, because what will happen, just like elephant, if he wants to enjoy with a she elephant, he is many times killed by other elephants. So if a person wants to enjoy with some form, some women, thinking that I'll enjoy that lady, the lovers of the lady, they will kill this person. So similarly, if a saintly person allows his mind and senses to get distracted, he will be destroyed. And then he says, you know, I have learned something from a beekeeper also. That is the 14th guru of Avdhut Brahmana. So from beekeeper, I have learned that how a greedy person, greedy for money, he does so many things, works so hard, collects all the different kinds of stuffs, works hard to get money with great difficulty, and tries to keep it at a very nice and safe place. But what happens? He tries to invest the money in so many of the places, tries to hide it from the thieves, but somehow or other the money is stolen, either in the form of the tax of government, either thieves they steal that, or relatives they take it away. Just like a honey bee. Honeybee tries to keep all the honey very safely in the beehive, but the beekeeper comes and steals away the honey. So therefore, we should learn that one should not become greedy like a beekeeper, like a honeybee. Because ultimately, if we are working hard to enjoy and store for our future welfare, over endeavor will destroy our spiritual lives. So purport describes that the scriptures say that saintly persons, and one more thing Avdut Brahmana says, that just like a hunter takes away the honey, similarly the renounced order of life, they are supposed to enjoy the property of the householders. So when the householder they prepare food, it should be first offered to the brahmanas, the renunciants, the sannyasis. Otherwise, if they are not developing this mentality of giving in charity and giving, first preference to the renounced order, giving respect to the renounced order, they will become so very absorbed in materialistic life. So therefore, one should give first preference to spread Krishna consciousness. That's what is written there. That is the first priority of life. Then he says, I have learned something from deer also. That is the 15th guru of this Avadhut Brahmana. He says, deer, you know, it has a special characteristic. When a hunter, if he wants to catch the deers have a big ears. They get attracted by nice sound. So hunter plays a nice music and the deer gets attracted by that, comes there and gets bound, trapped. A saintly person should never hear any materialistic song. Otherwise, he will get trapped by the material energy. Just like a deer gets bewildered and gets trapped by the sound vibration. And then he gives an example, a story. So one time there was a sage called his name was this Mrigi. This Mrigi, he had a son called Rishya Shringa. So Rishi Shringa, when he was born, this Mrigi Rishi, he wanted to make his son a perfect renunciant. So he kept his son at a very secluded place because he was thinking if he'll not see any women, he'll be safe from the dangers of opposite gender, attraction by the lust. And that's how he was training this child to grow and live as a perfect celibate. In the nearby area, it was under drought, you know. So the one of the sages, they gave the few of the sages, they gave their advice that if you bring Rishishring to this place, then it will rain. So the king, he sent very beautiful prostitutes dressed as men, and these ladies, they came, they started singing, they started dancing, and this person, he had never seen a woman in his life. He thought, oh, these are some guests who have come. He started serving them, and that's how he got attracted, and they took him to that uh, country. So therefore, one should be very careful not to get attracted by materialistic sound vibration. The 16th guru, sorry, it is written 15th. The 16th guru of the Avadhut Brahman is a fish. Fish likes to enjoy the taste of the bait, you know, and that's how falls victim gets hooked. When the fish eats that bait, she thinks that, oh, it is so very nice, it is so very tasty, and the person who has put that bait, he waits. He does not start winding up that you know rope immediately, string immediately, allows the bait to go inside along with the hook. When the hook is sufficiently inside, then starts winding up that hook, that string. The fish gets trapped by the attraction to taste. Similarly, for a renunciant or for a devotee practicing spiritual life, tongue is a very, very difficult thing to control. If tongue is not under control, then spiritual life will be destroyed. If one eats too sumptuously, what will happen? The senses will become agitated, sleep and lust, will increase, and therefore the lower modes will will overpower that person, and ultimately he'll fall down from the spiritual life. So therefore, Rupa Goswami also describes this tongue, belly, and genitals. They are in one line. Starts with tongue. Tongue has two functions: speaking and tasting. So therefore, the spiritual life begins with controlling the tongue. How to control the tongue? By taking prasad, which is offered to the Lord. Then he says that actually by fasting you can control the other senses, but the tongue becomes all the more disturbed by fasting. You know, the desire to taste increases after fasting. It is not so easy to control the tongue. Therefore, one can control the tongue by tasting prasad, by chanting the names of the Lord. And therefore he says तावत् जितेन्द्रियन्यस्य द्विजितेन्द्रियपमान् न जयेद्रसनं यावत् जितं सर्वं जितेरसे. As long as the tongue is not controlled, it cannot be said that one has controlled all the senses. Because if one is able to control the senses, then he can control all the if he can control the tongue, then he can control all the other senses. So the fight begins with the tongue. Therefore, if we speak Krishna Katha and if we taste Mahaprasad of the Lord, then the tongue can come under control. Only by param drishtva nivartate, only by developing a higher taste, one can control the lower tastes. And then he says, my 17th guru is a prostitute named Pingala. She has taught me how the desires is a root cause of entanglement in this world. Now he tells the story of Pingala. In the city of Videha, there dwelled a prostitute named Pingala. He says, now please hear what I have learned from this prostitute. Pingala nama vaishya asid Videha nagare pura tasya me sikshitam kenchin nibodha nipanandana. She has also taught me some lessons. I'll tell you that, O Nripanandana, O king. Once desiring to bring a lover into her house, she was standing at her doorway in the night. She was dressed very beautifully and she was standing at the doorway trying to attract some people. Actually, this Pingala, she was in desperate need of money. All the men, as they were passing, she studied all the men. You know, she was studying. Oh, this man will surely give me money. I know, he can pay the price of my love, and he will enjoy my company very much. She's thinking as she's seeing all the men coming and going. Many men came and went, in front of her door. Nobody stopped. Prostitute, this Pingla, for her, prostitution was her only means of earning. She anxiously started thinking, maybe this man who is coming, he's rich. He'll satisfy me. He'll pay the price for my love. But oh, he's not coming. He has gone. Maybe someone else will come. And then some other man starts. She sees. Oh, surely this man will come. He's coming now. He will pay the price for my love. That's how she was thinking whole night. She was leaning against the wall of her house, expecting somebody to come. And because she was unable to finish her business, she could not go to sleep. Out of anxiety, sometimes she was going inside of her house, sometimes she was walking out on the street. She was completely in desperate situation. In this way, midnight arrived. Midnight hour came. As the night passed, she became so morose, she became so, disgusted. Her face dried up. She started experiencing the feelings of detachment, and she started fearing some happiness in her heart. So therefore, whenever somebody is greatly frustrated, great suffering comes, then actually it gives rise to detachment from the material sense gratification. That was the situation of Pingala. She felt disgusted, she felt completely indifferent, and that indifference, that detachment acted like a sword which cut off all the material attachments of this prostitute. Avadhut Brahmana says, in that situation, she started singing a song. Please hear the song sung by this Pingala. He says, this human form, actually, a person, if he develops detachment in this human form, one can achieve the highest perfection. Otherwise, one can never give up bondage. Now, this Pingala starts speaking. She's singing. Aho me moha vitatim pashyata vijitatmanah ya kantadan asatah kamam kamaye yena balisha. So Pingla, she's saying, see the extent of my illusion. Aho me moh vitatim pashya. See the extent of my illusion because of my avijitatmanaha, because of my uncontrolled mind. I am so very illusioned. I desire lusty sense gratification from insignificant men of this world. That's how I have become a complete fool. So it is described that Pingala, she was not just earning money out of her profession, she was actually enjoying illicit affairs with the women, with the various men. And she was not even considering, oh, this person is big, this person is insignificant. She was selling her body to anybody who was coming. Kanta Asid. Kanta Asid means she was freely selling herself and she was enjoying from that illicit affair. She was giving herself to most ordinary and useless men also. Therefore, she's saying, oh, I was such a great fool. I was a balisha, you know. Kamaye yena balisha. I was having a childish intelligence. I did not realize my fortune. I was, I gave up the greatest fortune which was there right inside my heart. Santam samipe ramanam rati pradam vitta pradam nityamimam vihaya akamadam dukha bhayadi shokam moha pradam tucchamaham bhajegya. So she's saying, very beautiful verse, very famous verse, spoken by Pingala. So she's saying, Santam samipe, I gave up Vihaya. I gave up the Lord who is there in my heart. That Lord who is situated within me, he can give greatest love. He accepts the greatest love and he can give me the greatest love. I was hankering for love from insignificant men of this world. None of these men can satisfy me. Only Lord can satisfy my desires. Only Lord can make me happy. I gave up that just to enjoy with the insignificant men of this world. Who are these men? Oh, Kamadam, they cannot satisfy my desires. On the contrary, they brought inauspiciousness, fear, anxiety, lamentation, and illusion. Tuchha, dukkha, bhayadi shokam, moha pradam. That's how Pingala, she's speaking such wonderful prayers, such a wonderful song. So therefore, she could understand that how foolishly he was trying to enjoy sense gratification in this world. And then she realized actually Lord is always there right in my heart, ready to reciprocate. That's how Lord is. Lord is there ready to reciprocate with the love of his devotees, ready to reclaim the fallen conditioned souls. It is the conditioned soul is not turning towards Krishna. So therefore, Pingla, because of her intense desperation, she developed feelings of detachment and she developed feelings of devotion towards that Lord, that Supreme Lord. She said, oh, I have uselessly tortured my own soul. I have sold my body to those lusty people, those lusty, wretched people who are themselves objects of pity. I sold my body to them. So therefore, practicing this most abominable profession, I hope that I will get happiness. I'll get money. But what is this material body? She says. This material body is just like a house in which the soul is living. Just like there are steel pipes, beams, pillar in the house, there are bones, ribs, spine, there are so many things. And then this body is full of contaminated, obnoxious substances, the stool and urine filled in this body. And then ultimately, this body is covered with some nice skin, hair, nails. I was. And then she says, this body has 9 doors, the 9 holes of the body. She says, who can be so foolish like me that uh, I'm wanting to enjoy happiness with this body? This body cannot give happiness. It is a source of distress. She says, I must be the only fool in the entire city of Videha. Because what I have done, by giving up the Supreme Lord, I am trying to get happiness from the people of the world. And therefore, I forgot the Lord. I forgot the Lord who is ready to give himself to his devotees. Evam sandarshita hyanga harina bhrityavashyata swavashena api krishnena yasyedam sa ishwaram vashe. So through the pastime of Damodar Leela, Krishna is telling the whole world, I come under the control of my devotees. So Pingala is realizing that Supreme Lord comes under the control of his devotees. So somebody may, after hearing all this, they may ask, okay, what then you do you desire now? She says in 35th verse, Lord is the dearest of all the beings. He is a supreme well-wisher. Therefore, I will pay the price of surrender only to the Lord Vishnu. I will enjoy with the Lord. Just like God is a fortune, I will also serve the Lord. I'll enjoy with the Lord. All the men, you know, they are so very eager to give sense gratification. Even if a woman gets a heavenly husband, but still they cannot satisfy, because that is the nature of this material world. How much pleasure they can give, how much pleasure a man can give to his wife. On a material platform, there is no pleasure. Whatever we think pleasure is pleasure, that is not pleasure, that is stopping, that is the absence of any pain. So therefore, what is so called material love? It is just a cheating process. There is no love in this world, and that's what Pingala is saying. And then she says that actually, Lord is so very pleased with me. Nunam me Bhagavan Prito Vishnu Kena Apikarmana Nirvayadoyam Durashaya Yanme Jata Sukhavaha. Certainly, Vishnu is pleased with me. Some action I must have done in the past. That's why Lord is pleased with me. Vishnu kenapi, koi to karm kiye rahenge. That's why Lord Vishnu is pleased. Otherwise, how is it possible that I developed feelings of detachment? I was most stubbornly attached to enjoyment of this world, but still, Lord Vishnu, he made me detached. The detachment has arisen in the heart. That is the mercy. Only by the mercy of the Lord one can become completely detached. Only by the process of devotional service one can develop detachment from the sense gratification. Bhakti paresha anubhavo virakti अन्यत्र चैषात्रिक एककालः प्रपद्यमानस्य यथा श्नतस्यो तुष्टे पुष्टे क्षुतपायोनुघासम्. When somebody starts practicing devotional service, naturally devotion arises, one experiences the Lord, and one develops detachment from the material world. So therefore, Pingala is saying, Lord is very much pleased with me. So she is glorifying her good fortune. And therefore, now actually Dattatreya, so this Avadhut Brahman who is Dattatreya, he was there observing this prostitute. So Pingala, now Chakravarti Thakur writes that actually, Pingala, she saw, oh, this great personality is there. And she realizes, she understands, oh, he's a supreme Lord, I think. So he says, oh, best of the detached persons, please come and accept my, welcome. So she prepares her home very nicely. She began to clean and decorate the place just to, give nice reception to Lord Dattatreya. So that's what Chakravarti Thakur writes. So she says persons who have developed certain detachment, they can give up the association of wife, all money, relatives, and people who have undergone some suffering, they also develop detachment. But Lord is pleased with me, that's why I have developed feelings of detachment. And therefore he says, now what I'll do, I will serve the Lord with great determination. With devotion, I will accept the service and I'll give up all my sinful desires. I'll take complete shelter of the Lord. Okay, what will you do after surrendering? She says, having faith in the Lord, what I'll do, I'll maintain myself with whatever comes on its own accord. Yadrichaya, I will give up my condemned profession. I will maintain myself with whatever comes of his own accord. I shall serve the Supreme Lord only, because only Lord can save me from this material world. Why are you so eager to surrender to Vishnu? There are so many devatas. She says, no, no, no. Only Vishnu can save me. Samsara kupe patitam vishayer mushitekshanam grastam kalahinatmanam koanyo tratumadhishwarah. In this world, only Supreme Lord can save a living entity who has fallen in the well of samsara. In this samsara, there is a snake. There is a snake which is there in the form of time. Time devours everything. Only by surrendering unto the lotus feet of Lord, one can be free from this miserable material world. As Kulakshekar also says, Andhasya merita vivek mahadhanasya chaurai prabho balibhirindriya namadheyah मोहान्धकूपकुहरे विनिपातितस्य देवेश देहि कृपणस्य करावलम्बम्. Oh my Lord, my senses have stolen my power of discrimination. They are like the thieves. That's why I've fallen in this deep, dark well of material existence. But somehow or other, I have come to your lotus feet. Please save me. So therefore, somebody may ask, what is the authority this lady has? Why is she, you know, demeaning the position of Brahma and Shiva? So this verse she is answering, only Lord Vishnu can deliver a person from this material world. So when a living entity sees that the entire universe is seized, just like a snake seizes a mouse, entire universe is seized by the power of time. Only by the mercy of the Lord one can come out of this material existence. So therefore, this Pingala, she became completely sober and became completely detached. And therefore, now Avdut Brahmana says, now after this Pingala, she made up her mind, cut off all the attachments, and she gave up all the sinful desires to enjoy. She became peaceful, sat on her bed. And then the lesson which he learned from Pingala is Ashahi paramam dukkham nairashyam paramam sukham yatha sanchidya kantasham sukham swap suswap Pingala. Ashahi paramam dukkham. The desire is the cause of misery in this world. Material desires, they are the cause of the greatest unhappiness in this world. Nairashyam paramam sukham. Freedom from sense gratificated desires is the greatest happiness in this world. Therefore, completely cutting off the knots of sense gratification, or knots of her desire, she became completely happy and she peacefully went to sleep. That's what she learned. That's what Avdut Brahmana learned from Pingala. Now, the ninth chapter, he describes the remaining gurus. He says, my 18th guru is a kurari bird, a hawk. So, so one time a hawk, it was carrying a prey. This kurari bird was attacked by bigger, stronger hawks. And this bird became so very miserable. He gave up that prey and became very peaceful and happy. A saintly person, as long as he holds on to the material desire to enjoy in this world, he becomes miserable. And as soon as he becomes completely desireless, nakamakami, he becomes peaceful. That is the secret of peace. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvalokam maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. How one can become peaceful? By pleasing Krishna. By just like watering the root of the tree satisfies the whole tree, serving Krishna satisfies everybody. His 19th guru was a child. He says, I do not care for honor and dishonor. I do not worry about whether I'm staying in a house or outside, just like children. Just like a child enjoys, he plays and enjoys. Similarly, I also enjoy within. A child is not dependent on anybody. He wanders freely, he's completely without any distress. He says, just like a child is completely dependent on the father, mother, that's why he is completely carefree. I am dependent on the Supreme Lord. That's why I am also without any misery. There are two types of people in this world, he says. One is, there are two types of people who are happy, he says. One is a person who is retarded and a fool. He is happy. He is happy in ignorance. And other person who is happy is one who has approached the Supreme Lord. Because he is completely dependent on the Lord, he is completely peaceful. Third canto also describes Yascha mudtamo loke yascha buddhe param gatah tau bhav sukhamedete klishyati antarito janah. Two types of people are happy. Mudtam, most foolish, and great devotees of the Lord. Those who are in between, like all the sadhaka devotees, desire for sense gratification is still there, but we want to become pure also. They are most miserable. So therefore, he says, I am like a child, completely dependent on the Lord. That's why I have no miseries. I am enjoying within. His 20th guru is a girl of a marriageable age. He tells a story. One time, I was there at a place, and he's saying that I saw this happening. Once a marriageable young girl, she was alone at her house because her parents and the relatives, they had gone to some other place for some work. At that time, few people, they came desiring to marry her. They came with a marriage proposal. And sorry, this girl, she was alone. So this girl, she very nicely welcomed all these people, and she went inside and she started preparing something to feed them, because she was thinking, I don't know when will my parents return, when will they prepare food, so let me go and let me prepare something for these guests. So as she started husking rice, so she was wearing lots of bangles. As she started husking rice, the bangles were creating some noise. So she thought, if they will hear the noise of the bangles, they will think, oh, this family is so poor that the girl has to do the entire work herself. So, and they will not marry. So thinking like this, she removed all the bangles until only two were remaining on each hand. And then she started husking again, but still the two bangles were making noise. And then she removed one from each hand and only one was remaining. What was the lesson he learned from this incident? He said, I travel the surface of the earth and I personally saw this incident happening. I witnessed this and I learned that, a person who is a jnani, because Krishna first told the process of Jnana Marg, and Uddhava asked him, how can I accomplish this Jnana in my life? So he's saying, Jnanis, if they live together, too many Jnanis, they live together, the sages, if they live together, they will start arguing over the various speculations. So therefore, a Jnani should stay alone. Chakravarti Thakur writes that Jnana Yoga makes the sage practice the process alone. But just like a married prince, what she'll do? Before going to her husband, she will dress herself very nicely. She will wear bangles, ornaments to please her husband. Similarly, Bhakti Devi, she makes her the devotees who accept the process of devotional service. She makes them associate with each other. And in that association, there is a sound which is created. What is that sound? Sound of discussions of Hari Katha. That looks very attractive. That's why the devotees, they are so very eager to come together and associate. So therefore, in the purport also described, a devotee should always stay in association and speak Hari Katha. Nayatra Vaikuntha Katha Sudapaga Nasadhavo Bhagavatasthadashraya Nayatra Yagyesh Makha Mahotsava Shuresh Loko Pinavaisha Sevyatam. So it is described a devotee is not interested to stay in a place wherever there is no Krishna Katha going on, the festivals are not organized, and there are no devotees, even if it is heaven. So for devotee, he should stay with devotees and speak Hari Katha. That is a 20th Guru. He had a 21st Guru, arrow maker. He learned absorption from this person. One time, this arrow maker, he was working at his workshop, and a whole entourage of the king with all the kettle drums and the musical instruments and all the a huge group of people, they passed by. This arrow maker, he was so absorbed in making the arrows. Later somebody asked him, "Are koi, a king's procession passed by from here?" He said, "I don't know, I didn't realize." He says a saintly person who has perfected his mind by the process of yoga, he is so very focused, he is not disturbed by any of the distractions of the world. He is experiencing the happiness of the soul. He is attached and connected to the Supreme Lord. He is so very absorbed, just like when two lovers they meet, they are so very absorbed in talking to each other, they do not even realize who is passing by. A devotee should be very much absorbed in the process of devotional service. This is all the more relevant for a person living in a Kali Yuga, the age of social media, Facebook, WhatsApp, and all the gadgets. We have to be really careful not to get distracted. Just like an arrow maker, we should not get distracted by any of the political, social, Bollywood, and any of the affairs of the world. Our main focus should be devotional service. So therefore, a yogi, his consciousness is completely fixed on the Lord. Therefore, he no longer sees the dualities of the world. Oh, this is good thing for me. This is bad. This will give me happiness. This will give me distress. No. He is completely fixed up. His 22nd guru is a snake. A saintly person, he should remain alone and he should travel without any fixed residence. He should not bother so much about mixing with people. He should not speak more than required. Just like a snake does not, endeavor to make his own home, he enters or finds a hole somewhere, or he enters the house of somebody and stays in some of the corner or some hole at that place. A devotee is not so much concerned about creating the huge mansion, creating all the material uh, facilities for enjoyment. He is focused on developing love for Krishna. That is what he learned from snake. Snake, out of fear of people, because when if people they find snake, they may kill him, they may beat him. He stays aloof from the society. He will go in a corner and he'll stay very silently there. A devotee should not associate with materialistic people because they will destroy the spiritual mentality, the devotional mentality of a devotee. So therefore it is said that a devotee should be very careful not to associate with non-devotees. Asatsang tyag ei Vaishnavachar. From the spider who was his 23rd guru, he learned how Lord is the creator, maintainer and destroyer of the entire universe. Just like the spider, creates the spider web out of his own saliva, maintains it for some time, and then swallows the entire this web which he has created. Urna Nabhi, in the second canto Bhagavatam also, it is described. Brahmaji says, actually Narad Muni is telling Brahmaji, I think you are self-sufficient Lord. You are creating, maintaining, and destroying everything just like a spider. Brahmaji clarifies, I am not the creator. I am not the primary creator. Supreme Lord is the primary creator. I am just a secondary creator. So Lord Vishnu in the 16th verse, this Avadut Brahmani says, Lord Vishnu, he withdrew the entire universe at the end of Brahma's life and then maintained, he kept all the elements in himself. He remained there alone. He is the support of the entire universe. And then when the time of creation came, he brought the energies that came in the form of Sutra Tattva. That Sutra Tattva was the cause of the formation of Mahat Tattva. The Sutra Tattva means Mahat Tattva. From Prakriti, when it is glanced by the Lord, it becomes Pradhan and then Mahat Tattva, and then that Mahat Tattva transforms into the Ahankar, a mode of ignorance, transforms Mahat Tattva into false ego, and then the entire creation happens. Lord is the cause of the creation, maintenance, and destruction. That was the 23rd Guru. The last Guru of this Avadhut Brahman is a wasp. He says, the wasp, what it does, once he saw a wasp forced a weaker insect to enter into the hive, into his hive, and trapped that insect there. That insect, he was so very absorbed in fear of this wasp. He was constantly meditating on this wasp. And because of the constant meditation, he became a wasp. And the purport describes actually, because he constantly meditated, in the next life he became a wasp. So therefore he says, if anybody out of love, hate or fear meditates on any form of this world, attains that form in the next life. As Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, Yam yam vapi smarana bhavam tyajyatyante kalevaram tam tameva iti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitah. And then he says in the end, actually I have learned something from my own body. He says, from body I have learned detachment and discrimination. Because the body gives such distress that ultimately one becomes completely detached from any sense gratification. So many of the problems happen in the body that one becomes completely disgusted and detached from any of the bodily functions. Therefore, what I am doing now, O king, now I am engaging in the service of the Lord. He says, living entity, he accumulates the karmic seeds just like the tree produces seeds. So many actions are done by the body that produces further karmic reactions. Just like the tree produces the seed, the body produces karmic reaction. Then he says, actually, in this body, we have our senses. They are like co-wives. Jihvai kato amam apakarshati karhitarsha shishno anyatastagudaram shravanam kutaschit घ्राणो अन्यतश्च पलदृक् क्वच कर्म शक्ति बहव्या स्वपत्नैव गेह patim lunanti. He says Just like if a person he has many wives, all the wives wanting to get uh, some attention from their husband, they pull him at their place. A condition of a miserable conditioned soul is like that person. He is pulled in five different directions by the five senses. The tongue attracts a conditioned soul to taste nice food. Eyes attract a conditioned soul to see something beautiful. Similarly, all the senses they are attracting the living entity to a certain direction. Just like a man who has many wives is harassed by them many times, similarly, a living entity, because he is pulled by the senses in many directions, he is completely miserable. That is the condition of a person who is conditioned, who is completely bound in this material life. Supreme Lord, he says, he created so many species of life. 84 lakh species of life are created by Supreme Lord. After creating all the species of life, finally he was satisfied after creating the human form. Why human form is so very dear to the Lord? Very famous verse he speaks. लब्ध्वा सुदुर्लभमिदं बहुसम्भवान्ते मनुष्यम् अर्थदमनित्यमपीह धीरः तूर्णं यतेत् न तु पतेदनुमृत्यु यावन् निःश्रेयसाय विषय खलु सर्वतः स्यात्. After many births, somebody attains this human forms. Labdhva sudurlabha. This human form is so very rare. After many births and deaths, one has achieved this human form. Manushyam. What is this form? It is very rare. Arthadam. Arthadam means it can afford the highest opportunity to gain perfection. What is that? That is the devotional service. So therefore, a sober person, a sober human being, what he should do? Quickly he should endeavor. Turnam. Turnam means quickly. Yatet, endeavor. Natupatet. Please do not lose this the very rare human form of life. Turnam yatet natupatet anumrityu yavan. Because death can come anytime. Please do not lose your time. Please do not waste time in sense gratification. Nishreyasaya vishaya khalu sarvatasyat, because sense gratification is available in all the species of life. Even in the most abominable species of life, sense gratification is available. So therefore, the human, after attaining this human form, one should not endeavor for sense gratification. After describing this, Avadhut Brahmana, he ends, he says, having learned all these things from my gurus, I have developed complete detachment and I have become self-realized. Therefore, I travel, I wander without any false ego. Although the Lord is one without a second, now in very interesting verse he speaks, 31st verse, he says, although the Lord is one, but the sages, they describe him in many different ways. So one cannot learn about the Lord completely just by approaching one guru. This looks very confusing because all our acharyas, all the parampara, we have heard one should have one spiritual master. What does this actually mean? So it is described, Chakravarti Thakur says, it means that one should approach one spiritual master and take instructions from him, and to understand and realize those instructions, one can have many Siksha gurus. A person should use his intelligence to uh, uh, realize whatever he has heard from the spiritual master. He should observe the world around him and analyze the instruction which is given by the spiritual master. That is the meaning of approaching many gurus. Diksha guru should be one, Siksha gurus can be many. So therefore, after describing the whole story of Avadhut Brahmana. Now, Supreme Lord Krishna, he is saying, so thus having spoken to King Yadu, the wise Brahmana, he accepted obeisances and he accepted all the obeisances and worship from this Yadu Maharaj, and he left exactly as he had come. Yadu, after hearing all this from Avadhut Brahmana, he became free from all the materialistic conceptions. He became completely enlightened being, and he began to see everything with a equal vision. So that is the end of the 9th chapter. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So if anybody has any questions, you can please ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, how did Pingala know that to take shelter of Lord Vishnu only?
So that's not specifically mentioned why she approached, but because that is that's how the Vedic culture is. Because the Vedic culture is so much centered around Vishnu worship, that is called Varnashram. Varnashram acharavata purushena parappuman Vishnu aradhyate pantha nanyat tattosha karanam. So any person who is practicing Varnashram, he knows, he has heard many times that Vishnu is a supreme, but because of the sense gratificative desires, they worship many devatas. So in complete desperation, now Pingala, she reached the conclusion that Vishnu is a supreme and I have to surrender to him.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
How come a sinner cannot approach Krishna, right? So then Pingala was doing sins as by
Sorry, there is some network
abominable
problem. I could not hear the question completely. Can you please repeat?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, please repeat.
A sinner cannot approach and perform devotional service, but Pingala was also committing sins as a prostitute. So how she could realize God?
So every sinner has a past, and every saint, sinner has a future, and every saint has a past. So Pingala, although she was doing sinful activity, but as soon as one decides that I want to give up my sinful activities and I want to serve Krishna, Krishna is so very eager. He does not see, okay, this person has committed so many sinful activities. He is ready to give all the help and support and guidance. Just like we can see in the case of Putana. She came to kill Krishna, but Krishna was so very merciful. He saw just one good thing which was done by Putana. She came to give me milk, and she was dressed as a gopi, and she was in her past life, she had a desire to feed me. So that is a beautiful, merciful nature of Krishna. That's a wonderful nature of devotional service. As soon as you make a decision, all the help is available. Krishna, tesham satata yuktanam dadami buddhiyogam. As soon as one makes an attempt to come close to Krishna, Krishna gives the knowledge from the heart. That is what happened with Pingala. Krishna enlightened her from within. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Somebody else had a question? I think somebody has raised his hand. Kamakshi Mataji has raised her hand.
प्रभु जी गलती से हुआ होगा.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu ji. Hare Krishna.